do you want to introduce the show? Huh? Do you want to open up the show? No. No. Okay.
Meow.
Hey, welcome to Blood Talk Small Talk, where we aim to provide a deeper understanding of the teamwork it takes to ensure quality care in a healthcare setting. Tune in for a mix of serious science and casual conversation, and you might be surprised to learn just how much goes on behind the scenes. So, we've pre-recorded this episode. If you're watching it on its release day, happy Valentine's Day! Today we'll be diving into a topic that's perfect for the occasion, balancing work life and love life, especially in a demanding career like clinical laboratory science. How do you find that balance between the long hours in the lab and nurturing meaningful personal relationships? Well, that's what we'll be discussing today.
Today, our guest is Anthony, and he will join us to discuss today's topic. Anthony, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Uh, sure. I'm actually a computer engineer that turned into a CLS. I started off just because I was more interested in computers, and then the work life was not something I enjoyed, so I went back into the life sciences, and then I went back into CLS. I've worked at plenty of hospitals already, as both as a CLS2, CLS1 supervisor. So I have plenty of experience dealing with both the ins and outs, dealing with both nurses, doctors, staff, etc.
Awesome. So, yeah, thank you so much. So today will be very insightful episode. So let's get into it. First, do you find it hard to well, actually, like first, are you single?
No, I'm seeing somebody.
Yeah. So like, do you find it hard to date someone or like, starting to have a connect with someone in a personal level when like your work is so demanding? Like you mentioned earlier that you dealing with staff and like doctor and nurses and like hospital, it's not like a easy job.
I mean, I feel like that's more of an individual type of question. For me, I'm really work oriented, so I do find myself more motivated to do stuff when I'm at work compared to when I'm in relationship. So that's gonna be definitely dependent on the person. One thing you should know is that being a CLS, we're not in this type of career just because we like to interact with a lot of people. As you know, we're in a lab, so we don't see a lot of staff members other than the people who are other CLSs. Sometimes we don't even see the patients unless they ask us a question for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I think if I wasn't in a relationship before I started the program and then become a CLS, I think I would have a hard time really because I don't really see anybody. It's like work home,
I
work
mean, that's
home.
basically what it is. We are at work. Sometimes we come home. We have other responsibilities at family members, or we're just really just stressed out. And we're not even dealing with patients in this point. It's just work life burnout can happen, especially since COVID. I feel like everyone has been going through a lot of, so it's not the same since then. There used to be a lot more people going out after work to kind of spend time to each other to de-stress. So, and then that gives the opportunity to kind of meet other people, like at the bars
True.
or maybe a restaurant, and you kind of meet other people through that. But since COVID, it's changed a lot. So yeah, it would be more difficult right now.
I think our weird schedule also adds to the difficulty of dating. So I've tried apps before, and a lot of the time, because people don't understand our career and our weird schedule of like working weekends, working holidays, it's been really hard to try and like sometimes even set up a first date because it's like, oh, are you available this weekend? Would you like to go out? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm working. And then sometimes, like, if that conversation dies, it's like they don't even give you a chance to meet up the following week when you're actually off.
I mean, in general, I feel like everyone is being more busy than regardless of career. And dating apps in general have forced people to think, oh, I can just keep moving on to the next person because there's so many people in this I guess, Russian roulette that you're trying to figure out who's going to hit in the sense. If it doesn't, then you're just like, okay, I'm done. I'm just going to move on to the next. So no one is actually given like chances
Time.
to get to learn of anybody because they're trying to find that connection immediately. And that's what dating apps have done to a lot of people. Like, I think prior to them, you would actually spend time with people, hang out with them for maybe a good year before you actually think, oh, I would want to date this person.
Hmm. That's true. Yeah. Well, do you think you have like requirement or like what you looking in a person more now that you in like a professional career than like before you were a CLS?
Um, yeah, I would say it's a little bit more refined. Before I was never really that refined. I would say like, you're interested in me, let's go out. That's it. We don't think about
Like
the
future
long
too
term
much?
stuff because we're just trying to enjoy ourselves together. But
Hmm.
yeah, especially with our career, we see how health plays a huge. We want to make sure that that person is taking care of themselves as much as anyone else because otherwise you're not going to enjoy the time together because either that person's either working, sick, or just working more, etc. You want to make sure that they at least have certain what's that word I'm looking for priorities in life so that they can take care of themselves and still enjoy it as well. So,
So kind of like have a same priority in life.
I mean, at least a similar mindset. You don't want to have somebody who wants to go party all the time, and then you're not the type of person who. So, say like you want to go camping, hiking, and that person just wants to go to the next, I don't know, Coachella or something like that. So then you're just like, yeah, I don't want to spend
You
that
can
money.
camp at Coachella.
That's not real nature. You're outside. That's literally it.
Would you say your standards have changed or your tastes have changed from, I guess, that gap in between being a computer engineer up until like starting your career as like a CLS?
Are you talking about my taste in changing women or my dating? Oh, okay.
Yes, all of the above. Yes.
I would say, okay, so we'll answer it step by step. So in personal life, yes, a lot have changed. I've been taking care of myself a lot more because previously as a computer engineer, you don't care what you look like. You're in a dark room all the time in front of a computer, so you never see anything. The problem with that is that you smell it. So, so now that I'm out more in like a very busy environment where I'm actually around people, then yes, you care about your hygiene, how you present yourself, because you don't want to become the pariah at your work because you smell or you don't look good or whatever. I mean, there has to be at least a basic level of decency when you go out and just up. In terms of relationships, yeah. Before I used to be a lot more superficial. If there were somebody I didn't think was cute enough or pretty enough, then I would not even bother talking to them. I learned really fast that it is very hollow when you meet those people who are like that. Sometimes they're just so into themselves that they don't provide any type of like I guess content to kind of engage them in, and you just have somebody who just looks nice, and that's really about it.
Mhm.
Um, so it's been eye opening in the sense that I've learned to really give everyone a chance to kind of learn about them, so I can really figure out if this is somebody I can spend time with. But I think the best mindset I had was that when I stopped thinking I'm trying to marry that person, it made it a lot easier. Because every time when I first started doing dating, especially I started with online dating, um, it was just like, oh, I needed mindset. Is this person I can marry immediately? And I was just like, nope, nope. I just kept on skipping on so many people because I would just think that type of mindset. Yeah, that's not how it should work. And what's funny is that the person who helped me with that online dating was she's the one who set me up first because she's
Mm,
to do it.
really?
So
For
I had
real?
no idea online dating. She set up my whole profile and then she was telling me, okay, this is how it works. She was actually coaching me on how to use it. So that was really funny.
Interesting. But you know what, going back to what you said, I actually find it warming. Like I didn't think that a guy would think like when they start talking to another like a female or a partner, whoever it is, feel like, oh, let's see if I would marry this person. I think as a like woman, I would find it very nice. Because a lot of people would just like, nope, just I just want to date and that's it. Like not even thinking about the future. I would find it
I mean, I would
stressful.
say COVID really changed my mindset though. It was more like, I think for me, I was thinking like I wanted to get married right away and have children more for my parents because they wanted to be grandparents so badly.
Mm.
But after COVID, it was more just like, oh, preservation. We want to make sure that we stay healthy, we don't infect anyone else. So
Mm-hmm.
we kind of forgot that mindset of trying to, or at least I should say, I forgot that mindset of trying to build family or even build my own life because I wanted to make sure I was taking care of my own family and making sure they're safe. But now that we're post COVID in a sense, we we kind of are trying to go back in that same direction, but we are looking at it a little bit more carefully. If this person is, you know, kind of doing vaccines is one of them, or are they wearing masks in certain instances?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do
Like taking
you?
care of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say those are basic taking care of yourself, but it's just one of those things that is preventative. Are they preventative with what they're doing? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that comes from the mindset of what we do for our
In the
career.
lab, right?
Yeah, because we see it all the time. We're just like, oh, these people are all sick. What's going on? It's like, oh, this is.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, right now we're going through what avian flu. It's crazy right now. Eggs are
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah. A lot of people are sick at work too. A lot of like called out.
Yeah.
What about you, Mars? Like, do you find your like requirement or what you're looking for in a person change?
Um, I think so. I think because it's something that we deal with every day. Anthony was saying kind of it's like you want someone who will take care of themselves, right? Having worked in healthcare and seeing all of those sick people. I think for me as well, it's nice to have someone to relate to. I mean, our job, we try not to take it home with us, right? We try to leave work at work, but I like to stay more on the curious side, even if I'm not thinking about stuff work related. I'm still always kind of fascinated about anything on the science side. I've noticed myself teetering more towards people in STEM. It's not intentional. It's just because we have more to relate
Mm-hmm.
about. But I do find that like talking to people who understand like science and stuff like that, it does help, I guess, kind of more. Just because a lot of the stuff, I guess, that I like to talk about, that's the basis of it. Um, and it definitely helps if they kind of have an idea or are more understanding of our work schedule and like how demanding it can be. That's probably the other reason why I'm more so towards. So it's not intentional, but I do feel myself connect more to other people within the sciences or medical field.
Yeah, I think I do find it um I think it would be nice to have somebody to you can like really relate or they understand what you're talking about, right? So my like husband, well back then was my boyfriend when we were in the program. Um like he also he's an engineer, chemical engineer, so he it's not like exactly the same, but he does understand like some basic knowledge. And so a lot of time when I have like I guess worry, not really like some issues or problems, I would like, be able to tell him and then he'll like, just take it back, do this step by step. So it does help. So it's make me feel comfort in a way.
The different
Yeah.
mindset you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like the mindset. I think it's really important to be able to relate.
Yeah, I
And
would
like
say that's true too. I see both sides as for value. Having somebody who has medical backgrounds is really nice because they understand what you're talking about. At the same time, someone not being in the same field is also good because then you don't have to bring work home, like you brought up, Mars. So you never really talk about it. So both are really good things to think about in a partner, but ultimately it should be more about can you get along with
Yeah. But what do you think, like, what would you think you looking for in your partner in terms of like emotional, like either like emotional support when you have like particular, like a challenging day at work? What do you look for in your partner?
I think it's just more just uh empathizing with me. Just say like, oh, that sucks. I'm not asking for someone to fix it most of the time whenever I have an issue. But one of those things I learned is that you kind of have to ask your partner, like, what do they want? Do they want a sounding board? Do they want somebody just to vent on? Do they want actual advice? I mean, most of the time people don't know what they want until you see it. So when you ask them, then it makes it a lot easier and you don't have to think of it. Right? So, like, she does ask me this. And she does the same thing for me. Like, if she's dealing with a rough day, she says, can you give me a back massage? I'm like, all right. And then I'll do it. But then she tries to do it for me, but I don't ask for it. I said, I don't want one. I'm okay.
That's true.
So, I mean,
So
everyone
sorry.
has different priorities about what they need to support. Mine is basically, just talk to me and then we'll go from there. I don't need anything specific other than, we spend time together. As long as we don't try to kill each other, I think we're doing a good job.
I was like giving thumbs up and everything. It's because I do the same, but I feel like you're like really different, Anthony, because I feel like a lot of guys when like I guess his partner
Mm.
or telling you something, the guy will always try to fix it. Like, no, you're doing this and this.
I
And like,
mean,
I'm not wanting you to
I
fix
was,
the issues.
I'm guilty of that though. I've done that before, and people have told me, specific people have told me that they didn't ask for it, and I didn't realize I was doing it so much in my life with my own friends, coworkers, to the point where I started to be like, okay, I have to take a step back, let them breathe a little bit, let them vent, and then I can ask them like, what do you want from me? Like,
Yeah.
and then I offer the options, and then that makes it easier. If you don't give them the options, then they don't know what to do. They'll just be more frustrated.
No, yeah, that's really the best way. If someone goes on a rant to you, um, the best way is to ask like, did you just want to vent, or do you want me to like give you advice? Do you want me to console you, or do you want me to like help you try and fix your problems? It avoids a lot of frustration and like arguments between people because it's
And
like,
I think I feel
you
like,
tell me what to do. Yeah.
and you feel like you, well, at least for me, I feel like I was heard and you listened to me. Not that you're trying to say something, you're not listening. Obviously, you're listening, right? That's why you're able to offer suggestions or help or comment. But it's like, I didn't want that. I just want you to be like, I guess, agree with me or make me feel better. Like back massage, like pet me, like give me a hug, like something. So like I think, I mean, we do have that issues, like with just like us. So I think one time I would have to be like, I just want you to hug me. And I was like, okay. He was like, give
A
me a
lot
hug.
of it, I think, if they like your partner will automatically just try to skip over it and then not really acknowledge. It's kind of like you feel a little bit invalidated, right? Because it's like, okay, so you feel like that? Let me tell you how to fix it. Or let me just give you this, like, that will already solve all of your problems. Whereas you kind of just want someone to understand and then, of course, validate your feelings, right? So I think that's why it's good to prior to, like, what can I do for you? What will make you feel better? What do you want? Or even just kind of like Peach was saying, uh, make it known that you've really been listening. Like, I understand that you feel this way. So how can I help make you feel better? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
for the most part, I feel like a lot of guys, and I'm guilty of it as well, that we were brought up being reactive. We were always brought up with the idea that we have to provide solutions to things, even though maybe they might think, oh, this is not a big deal, but for someone else, it could be a very big deal. And then we'll kind of dismiss it again, like you said. Like, we dismiss their feelings by saying, like, oh, this is such an easy thing. Why is it so hard for you? This is what you should do. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not the same thing as it was in the past. A lot of people grew up with older generation family parents that provide you with kind of solutions that way. And yeah, it was very kind of demeaning in a sense because it was always dismissive. Uh, but you can't stop the cycle unless you kind of recognize that there was one.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, it was a learning experience for me, and it applied to a lot of the dating I did with. Well, so
Mm. Yeah. So do you found it hard to maintain romantic relationship with this, like, as a CLS with this irregular work schedule?
I don't think it's difficult because most people, if they're interested in you, they will carve out the time to spend time with you. If they do not, you want to kind of make time for you, you can tell right away that they're not interested. So then you don't maintain relationship. If they're not gonna give you
Mm.
their share of time that you give to them, why would you spend it?
Do
Like
you
I
think?
was dating somebody who worked night shift over at UC Irvine.
Mm,
She was a CLS also. So I made time to meet her in the morning after her shift finished, so that we could have breakfast, go out a little bit,
mm.
and then let her go home to rest up. Yeah, it was hard because then I would drive out mostly to her place because it was kind of far away for her, and I don't want her to be too tired. But yeah, you kind of make the time to do it. It's not difficult. It's just more, are you willing to put in the work? And that's with any relationship. Because everyone goes through the same. It's just if you want to put in that work.
So you don't think it will be harder even if you don't work in day shift?
I don't think it would be harder. I think for me, if I was working night shift, then maybe it might be different. Because the person I was seeing was working night shift, so I was willing to do it. So I can't say the person that I would see, would she be willing to see me
Do the
after
same
my
thing.
shift, or can we carve out time in a way that I can see them still? Like, I couldn't say for sure that it would work the same way. If it did, that'd be great. But I would always preface any type of person I would meet. Say I was starting, like I was dating and just trying to meet people. I would preface like, "Hey, I work night shifts. Would you be okay if we try to do it this way, etc.? If not, no problem. I just wanted to let you know right away so that this is kind of where I'm at. So it might be difficult to make it way. You want to cut out a lot of the work involved if someone's not willing to do it. And it's not like trying to cut them off right away. Some people are genuinely interested in trying to meet you halfway, even if they just read a couple sentences about you on a dating app.
So you're very upfront, like really verbal. Just tell
Oh
them
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
this is
I
what.
found out after I don't know how many relationships that I had to be a lot more vocal. Otherwise, it's not gonna work out. I'd be like, "Listen, I want a break." It's just like in Friends. It's like, "Well,
We have a couple of friends who one works day and one works graveyard, and they've been going strong for like how many years now. In contrast, or not really, but I've heard that people say day shift and graveyard, it's not difficult to hold a relationship. It's for like start dating. It's swing shift that's hard because you kind of lose your social life since you're working during the time most people would be doing things. So, like for example, your friends want to go out on a Friday night at like happy hour for dinner, but you're working. Whereas like graveyard, our friend when she was working graveyard at the time, she would at least be able to go out with us before her shift. So we would like the rest of us day shift would go out, eat somewhere, and then she'd come and then have a drink or two, sober up in time for her to go to work. That sounds crazy to me, but she was able to do it.
But I'm agree to disagree because I was working evening shift for almost 8 years. Um, I guess my experience will be different because, I was already in a relationship, right? I have seen people who actually date. I mean, one option is you date people in the same shift.
I
And
did that.
then,
Tell you a story about that after your story.
yeah. And then, like, another thing, so, that's like one thing, right? Another thing that I would have agreed with you is that I agree that you lose a lot of like social work because, before that, my social group is bigger quite a little bit because I did a lot of activities outside of work. But during that time that I work evening shift, I have to cut off a lot of things, or I'd be limited to not able to do any of those activity because like a lot of people are free after work, and obviously I'm working at that time. But after a few years, I realized that I really only keep the people that really cares about me. Like whoever that doesn't care, they're not gonna make time for you. So it's kind of helped me filter out some friends that I could, I guess, live without.
think that's also a part of growing up because if you're really close, even if you have like different schedules, especially as our generation, our group of friends, they get older, they have families and stuff like that. You just kind of have to like figure out a time when you can all get together, regardless of if it's your work schedule or not, right? But I
Yeah.
can see how it would be more intense for you having to work evenings.
Yeah. But here, let's listen to Anthony. Like, please share with us. I'm intrigued to hear.
Okay, so with swing shift, that's my first lab job I had. So like you said, it was very difficult to meet anybody because I would be at work during the time that to meet somebody. During the day, I was just trying to do my own personal stuff before I started work, so then I would never be able to free time most of it. What ended up happening is that I ended up dating someone at my job that also worked the same shift. Uh, Needless to say, lesson learned, never do it again. But it was one of those things where um, you kind of just go with whoever is more convenient then, because they're working the same shift as you, and then you can kind of see them. But the thing is that, yeah, working together is a terrible idea to see someone you work with also.
What sacrifices that you think you have to make, working in the medical field, like to make your personal life work for you?
Um, Most of the time it's just not being able to do my own thing. So,
Mm.
uh, like as I was dating, I got used to the idea that I was doing my own stuff whenever I wanted to. If I had somebody to date at the time, then yes, I could fit it in, no problem. But as you get more involved with somebody, a lot of that time changes to your time together, not just your time and then that person's other. They have to come together a lot. They want to spend time with you, which is a good thing. But you also have to be able to deal with that too. One of the things you have to learn is how to carve out some of your own personal time so that you can kind of not go crazy about it. Like this is going to be varied from each person. For me, I like to have my own personal time. I will let my girlfriend know, like, hey, this weekend, is it all right if I just stay by myself? I'll ask her, kind of like permission still, because I don't want to just say that she doesn't have a choice in it. But if she's just like, oh, I had plans, can we do at least this thing? And then I'll make a compromise. So like in this case, like, oh, I've told my friends we can go out to dinner. I'm like, okay, I will spend time by myself, and then I'll meet you for dinner to pick you up or something like that. So it's not like I totally iced her out or I don't get my own time. It's just that I have to learn to kind of find a middle. One of those things though is that not everyone gets to do that. Even though they say some relationships are 50-50, someone will end up doing a little bit more.
I know. So, yeah, it's hard to find that balance. I think I struggle with it even now. I don't know if it's more because I'm like woman, like I need more attention apparently. Then when my husband said like, "Oh, I need some time," I would first look at him with my puppy eyes, and bling bling, and then if he's like, "Well, I'm tired," I'm like, "Okay, fine. I'll back off. But like I would like test the water. Like let me see if I can get him to go out. But yeah, sometimes like, like he does let me know, like, I'm tired. I just wanted to stay home. And I have to respect that and give him the space. But yeah, I did try.
Oh, I
So
mean, the thing is that it also comes from your husband's side. Then he also has to try it occasions too. The same thing with my girlfriend. I
Mhm.
feel like, hey, can I have this personal time to myself? She has to figure out what to do then when she's not around me, which is, I would say is easier for her because she has a bigger friend group than I do. But sometimes she will just want to spend time with me, even though I'm not doing it. So it's just one of those things that as long as both sides are trying, then that's good. If it's only one side that's trying, I think that's you don't want to see.
Mhm. Well, with it, like, kind of in that topic, like balancing. So has being in a medical field influenced you how you view the concept of work-life balance, and how do you achieve that in your personal and professional life?
No, not really. I mean, we're very lucky and fortunate that our job is not so crazy in the sense that we're on call. Um, we have that option a little bit. Like, say someone calls in sick for one of the off shifts, they'll ask us, they'll still call us. They're like, "Hey, do you want to work overtime?" But we're not required, which is really good
Hmm.
because some nurses they have things like where they're on the weekend, they have to be on call that weekend, and regardless if they call them, they have to go in unless they
Hmm.
if that call fits somebody else. So the work life balance is actually not difficult. I feel like it's just trying to make sure that you keep your life in order and then trying to figure out what you need to take care of. Like I said, priorities. A lot of people don't know what is important to take care of at that moment, but they eventually figure it out. It's it's just something like one thing I do that I make a Excel spreadsheet just to like do I what things do I have to take care of for this month, and then if there's something that has to be immediate, then I will put it like higher in the priority list, and again checked off, I'll cross it out or highlight it, etc. So it's one of those things. I know some people use like whiteboard to kind of do that. That's
Hmm.
a really good tool as well. Yeah, you just have to figure out what works best for you in these cases so that you can still manage your personal and work life.
Hmm. Yeah. And what advice would you give to someone that like struggling in balancing so that they can better managing their times and
I
can
mean,
take care of themselves like emotionally also?
I see. So with the emotional part, that one is difficult. You can't. There's not really a solution for that right away. It's more just they have to find out what they need, and sometimes they don't know what they need at that moment. It takes time to figure out what, especially when it comes to emotion.
Yeah, that's true. I
If
sometimes I
if
don't know
it's
what I
if,
need.
yeah, if it's physical stuff, yeah, that's a lot easier to deal with. Like, oh, what do you need? Oh, I need a roof over my head. I need food. I need like toiletry so I can keep myself clean or whatever, and you know, just detergent to wash my clothes, stuff like that. Yeah, it's difficult. People are struggling. I mean, especially now with inflation going on, so it's difficult for people to afford things that they probably need versus want. So that's one thing I would first say. Like, what are the things you actually need, and what are the things that you? If you know the difference between them, that will help you determine what you actually require to kind of get things organized. Okay? And then going back to the emotional stuff, um, I don't like to say that therapy is the best way to do it. It's more like it's a way to kind of guide you in a sense to figure it out, but it depends on that person. That person has to be willing to go there and do it themselves. They can't be influenced by anyone else. If they can't make that decision for themselves, it's not going to help.
So, and that brings us to the end of today's insightful conversations about work life and love life balance as a CLS. Thank you so much to our guest Anthony for sharing his experience, wisdoms, and the story. If you like it, please give us a thumb up, subscribe, and leave us a comment down below if you have any questions or any topic that you'd like us to talk about. If you want us to bring Anthony back for another episode, please let us know about that down below as well. As we
Please bring
celebrate
me back.
Yes, please bring him back. It was very fun. Okay, talking to him. It was very fun. As we celebrate Valentine, just don't forget that love come in many different forms. It could be loving ourselves, loving our coworker, friends, family. So we can celebrate it all in Valentine's Day. So thank you very much all for being with us today. And don't forget, your blood tell you the story of your health. Thank you. Bye.